Hi, I'm here at a project we just finished up. We didn't do a time-lapse video here, but let's take a look at the drawings and talk about the project a little bit. Here's the overall drawing. First, the product comes into these dock doors with these truck unloaders onto this MDR, travels along this narrow belt conveyor, onto a sawtooth merge, down a line of accumulation against this back wall, through these belt gappers, till it gets to a scanner, then around a 180, then onto a narrow belt sorter, 30 degree, and it transfers down one of 14 down lanes. You have some MDR at the beginning and then declined gravity. Then at the end of the narrow belt sorter, you have a little more MDR and then some narrow belt conveyor recirc loop. When you come into a brand new building like this, you really want to make sure you match the building columns on the drawing with the building, so that you don't accidentally install the whole system 50 foot in the wrong direction. A wall was being built right here, so we had to first build everything this side of the sawtooth merge, get it all straight and leveled and anchored, and then we built this down here, didn't anchor anything, waited for the wall to be built, then filled in this narrow belt conveyor, and then finished tying in down here. To make sure you don't shift these truck loaders left or right of the center of your dock doors, you'd want to start this 400-foot line back here, both of these, and start building from an endo down here and build that way, because by the time you build 400 feet of conveyor, it's not going to be the exact same dimension as the drawing says. This was about 1.5 inches longer, so we let that 1.5 inches be on this side, and it just pushed that 180 that way a little, which didn't matter. But if we built from this direction down and pushed this whole line that way 1.5 inches, then all your dimensions when you got down here would have been off. Almost everything in the system was 42.5 inch top of roller, but these transfers pop up 3/8 of an inch. So when you set these MDR spurs and curves, you'd start at 42 7/8 and then start declining down for your gravity. Same thing when feeding into this sawtooth merge. We raised these up about 1/2 inch above the UHMW so that it brought product onto that belt nicely. Then when we got down to these 6 MDR lines, we shot a laser across to make sure all these endos were flush. You only have like 1 inch of space between the two, so if you're off, you could potentially snag the back of that truck loader on the MDR. Here's a quick look at the traversing truck loaders. The track sits about 3/4 above the floor, and at the other end you have this grooved roller that rides in the track, and then this Z-track which holds down the unit when it extends out. So there's the bracket on the back, and all those are Hilti epoxied anchors. Why is this running at 4 a.m.? Stop, robot, you don't have to work right now, nobody's watching. Here are the lines feeding up to the sawtooth merge. Whenever you have other lines tying into one line, let's say like a merge or a bunch of down lanes off a sorter, you should build the sorter first, get it all anchored down, and then leave a string on it so that when you're doing all the down lanes, you make sure you don't push or pull and cause that sorter to now be crooked. Right before this belted conveyor, you have a couple of beds of skewed rollers to justify the product over, and they made this MDR, which is a really great idea so you don't end up screwing up your belt. Again, another 2 beds that are skewed rollers right before you get to a belt conveyor. MDR, good idea. We ran this TransAir aluminum fast pipe along the conveyor to supply air to the sorter and all the NBC. Saddle drops with 1/2 inch trunk line, and then teed off to the diverters. Plugged here at the end temporarily, but once we get some more pipe, it'll make a loop since this sorter demands more air. Keep an eye out for noise on these CRUZbelts. You'll hear the lacing going around and it's hitting because you got these slider pans with a 90-degree brake pointed down. And if they install the pans in the wrong order on the bed, you'll have the seam of the pans pointing right down above this take-up roller, and then that lacing will get pinched between that take-up roller and those pans and start ripping teeth out. Of course, get your rubber plugs out of your reducer breathers. Here are the compressors. Kaeser? I don't know. I always mispronounce that. So I think there's supposed to be 5-micron filters or more according to the NBC manual. Oil water separator. So that's it, just a quick walkthrough. All right, the camera's on. Hide your personality.
I love my job. I've always wanted to do conveyor. It's been my dream.
Ever since you were a child?
Yes.
Like all the other kids in the neighborhood got
They're like,
firemen.
I want to be a fireman and a police officer. I was like, I want to install conveyor. Are you stupid?
I didn't even know about conveyor till I was like 14 last week.
I grew up with conveyor.
Shoot. Me and conveyor, when we grew up
That's my
together.
first word.
Oh, me and conveyor, we go way back.
I didn't even know.
Hytrol, yeah. I assembled Hytrol number 1, that hay bale feeder. You know how Hytrol started?
Jared, we're gonna whittle wood while we talk about this. Come sit down.
Bartle and James. Well, let me tell you how Hytrol got started.
Are you telling me Hytrol is the first one to make an elevator? Kind of hate them for that because I used to work up in the top of the ceilings. You want to talk about the worst job you've ever had?
Why am I putting this on?
Being up in top in dead summer with all that chafe coming up through that. They shoot it up through a hole this big, dude. Typically. You're in the top of the barn. Now you're in the roof. So now it's summertime. It's hot as